I just spent the past 5 minutes trying to figure out a thumbnail, and I don't even know if any of them are worth the shit, but we're just gonna keep going. Hi! How's it going? Haven't seen you in a while. I missed you so much. Did you miss me? It's been like 2 weeks. That was not intentional, but the holidays this year took something out of me that it hasn't taken out of me before, and I don't think I'm gonna get that little piece of my energy back until like at least February 23rd. So here we are. I'm finally getting back into the swing of things. How's everybody doing? How was your holidays? I hope it was fantastic. If you don't celebrate the holidays, I hope you had a fantastic day or 2 or 3 or however many days the holidays were. I don't know. I hope you had a fantastic last couple of weeks. How about that? So today we have another episode of Weekly Update with your magnanimous host, me, Joe. I was going to do my December wrap up yesterday, but I wasn't feeling it. And I wanted to start the year off with a chill style weekly wrap up because they make me happy. They bring me joy, and I feel like we have something going on here. Something fun, something fancy, something fabulous. I feel like we got a lot of fun going on here when I do my weekly wrap-ups. So that's what today's going to be. This is going to be the first week of January. Happy New Year, everyone. It's fine. In the past week, I've read 16 things. Okay? But before you get your panties in a rumple-bumple dumple, 15 of those were manga. Let's talk about those first, shall we? I still have a couple of end of the year preparing for 2024 videos that I need to get out because I took an impromptu break. One of them is my 2024 manga TBR, and I'm getting started with it real quick. I read the first 15 volumes of Attack on Titan, and I have the colossal editions. They're these ginormous paperback editions that have like this nice shiny paper. I have experienced the first probably 10 volumes of Attack on Titan more times than I can count. I've watched the anime like 4 different times. I've read the first 10 volumes like at least twice, and I've just never continued on with it, not because I wasn't liking it, but because not all the colossal editions were out. So I was like, well, I can't like eat this one, right? I have to like savor it. And I savored it so much that I just stopped reading it. So I'm remedying that now. So I reread the first 10 volumes, and I read volumes 11 through 15 for the first time. I believe it's for the first time. Either that or it's 12 through 15, something like that. Either way, I read the first 15. It doesn't fucking matter. I'm putting this down because it's literally like 3 pounds worth of book. Okay, anyway. If you don't know what Attack on Titan is about, it is fantastic, okay? It's a seinen manga. We're following a group of people set in a world where there are these large is probably not the best word to use to describe the Titans, but they are like up to 100 something feet tall humanoid creatures that eat humans. And 100 years ago, humanity has decided to retreat behind this series of walls to protect themselves from the Titans, right? And we have different military divisions, one of which goes out and fights the Titans, trying to learn more information about them because nobody really knows where these motherfuckers came from. So at the beginning of this, we're following a series of people after the unfortunate happens, and this gigantic Titan called the Colossal Titan comes and breaks through one of the walls, and the Titans come in. It's a very brutal series. It's not appropriate for children. It's a very brutal series, very bloody and gory, but it's also really political as well, because there's a lot of secrets about this world that I don't know yet. But we're starting to get a little bit more information about how this world was created, who built the walls, where do the Titans come from, you know, all of these answers that previously humanity has just, you know, accepted as just this big mystery. Who built the walls? You know, what are we going to do if the unfortunate should happen and the Colossal Titan continues to destroy this series of walls? What's going to happen to humanity? And we get to see the kind of effects of humanity being put into a dangerous situation and what would happen to them. Will they band together and fight against a mutual enemy, or will they start to turn on each other in the hopes that they can keep and sequester their own wealth and power? So yeah, it's really, really good. Like I said, it's a lot more political than I ever expected it to be, because there is obviously a political system within the humans, you know, and some people seem to know more than they're willing to say. It's one of my favorite anime series, but I never actually ended up finishing it because it got to the point where they changed animation styles, and I didn't like the animation style that they changed to, so I just quit watching it. I was like, I'm just gonna read the manga instead. I'm literally devouring it. Like I said, I've read the first 15 volumes in how many days have we been in January? Like 7. So we're moving right along. So the only other book that I finished besides those 15 volumes of manga was Dungeon Crawler Carl by Matt Dinneman. This is a book that has been kind of swimming around the spheres of the SFF community on BookTube, and I had to have it. I had to have it. It looked so hilarious, and it absolutely is. So this is following a man named Carl and his ex-girlfriend's cat, Persian show cat, named Princess Donut, as they become one of the only survivors of the human race because of some alien shenanigans, and they are forced to participate in a dungeon crawler game that is kind of like a reality TV show, like an intergalactic reality TV show for funsies. I mean, like, for funsies, but also for survival. So this is a lit RPG book, which I've never read before in my life, but pretty much if you can imagine an RPG game, that is pretty much what this is. Reading this is like playing a video game. I mean, we watch Carl and Princess Donut as they're leveling up and opening loot boxes and defeating bosses, but it's so much funnier than it sounds, okay? So within this dungeon, they're fighting different mobs, like just crazy ass mobs. I mean, you have like your classic goblins and fairies and things like that, but you also have some weird ass shit like a lava spitting llama, as well as BDSM pigs. Like, it's just fucking hilarious. It's fucking hilarious. I loved the humor in this. Like I said, some of the things are a little bit strange, like the BDSM pigs, and there's also a AI that has a foot fetish, you know, different things like that. There's a lot of sexual jokes, but outside of the kind of comical violence and sexual innuendos and things like that, there is just so much quick wit and charm in this book. I couldn't put this thing down. It was absolutely addictive. I loved every second of it, and I cannot wait to continue on with the series. It's just hilarious. It's hilarious. Pretty much everything in the book has a sort of comedic flair to it. I mean, we're following a man and his talking cat as they are trying to kill these mobs, but not just kill them entertainingly, so that they can gain followers and patrons and go on talk shows, intergalactic talk shows, and talk about their experiences, because that's the only way that they'll be able to survive. Also, there's 18 different levels of this dungeon, and the farthest that anyone ever in the history of this game has ever made it is level 13, and they died like 5 minutes into it. So obviously Carl and Princess Donut are, you know, they're like, we gotta make it to floor 18, we gotta survive, we gotta kick this in the butt. And obviously, with the fact that the majority of the humans on Earth are dead, there are a little bit of darker tones to it throughout, though I thought that the darker themes that are explored in here were dealt in a way that didn't take away from the comedy and the fun nature of this book, but it was just enough to acknowledge that these darker things are happening. It also gets really interesting when we start to meet other crawlers and go on these talk shows with these aliens. I mean, they're literally aliens. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's definitely a ridiculous concept, and I don't know how Matt Dinniman pulled this out of his little noggin, but it was brilliant. It was brilliant. It was funny. It was a little bit dark and emotional. I loved Carl and Princess Donut. Obviously, like, it's a talking cat. If you also have a semi-questionable sense of humor and you like RPG games, I think this is the perfect book for you. Even if you're just wanting something really fast-paced and hilarious, I think that you should definitely check this out. As for what I'm currently reading, I'm currently reading volume 16 of Attack on Titan. I'm barely into it. I'm trying to take it a little bit slower, or else I will literally binge the entirety of the series in January, which I don't want to do. I kind of want to like space it out a little bit. And I'm also currently reading Elantris by Brandon Sanderson. The Cosmere was on like my books that I want to prioritize in 2024, and I feel like Elantris is like the weakest link in terms of everybody's view of the Cosmere in general, or of just Sanderson's works. Everybody says it's weak. Everybody says it's weak. They're like, it's fine. It's three stars. I'm like, what, 230 pages into it? I'm loving this. I'm absolutely loving this. We're following 3 different perspectives, and in this world there was this magical city called Elantris, and there was this like I don't know, fucking spirit thing that came called the Sheod, and anybody could become an Elantrian if they were, you know, blessed by the Sheod or whatever the fuck it's called, and they would travel to Elantris and become this magical godlike being, right? And then 10 years ago, from the start of this book, 10 years ago, Elantris started to decay, and the Elantrians kind of, they lost their hair, their beautiful, like, pearly white skin started graying, and they kind of started to look like wrinkled old prunes, and everybody got pissed. They were like, oh my gosh, we worship these guys as gods. What's going on? Why are they rotting? And then turmoil struck, and at the beginning of this, the merchant class that was in this city right next to Elantris, they've kind of taken over, and the king is now a previous merchant, I guess, and the prince the king's son, is one of the perspectives that we're following. I mean, I would pretty much say he was probably like the main character of this book. I don't know. But he, at the beginning of this book, is blessed by, cursed by, depends on how you look at it, the Sheod. He has become an Elantrian, and he is banished to Elantris because even though the city died and the Elantrians were dethroned, I reckon, the Sheod, the kind of spirit thing that goes around turning people into Elantrians, didn't stop, and people are still being turned into Elantrians even though they're nasty now, even though they're nasty. But within his perspective, we're following him as he's trying to kind of get the people of Elantris, the people who have been, you know, infected by this situation, to kind of live again, I guess. He's trying to make the best of the situation that he has. Elantrians, whatever injury that they get is like eternal. It's like forevers, okay? It doesn't heal. They are perpetually starving. Most of the people are just like moaning and groaning in the streets because they're in too much pain to even move. So he goes in there and he tries to make the best of it. He starts to gather people to him and give these people a purpose. Give them a reason to keep on living in this horrible ass city that used to be all magical and shit. Prince Raoden was the previous guy. Anyway, so the second perspective is Serene, who is a woman who was on her way to Erelon from a neighboring country. So she was supposed to marry Raoden. I keep wanting to put an R in there somewhere. It's Raoden. Anyway, and through her perspective, we get a lot more of the political machinations of different things because she is a very intelligent woman. She has a lot of suspicions about different things going on, and she's trying to weasel her way into the politics and trying to fix this country that is kind of teetering on the brink of disaster because the Merchant King is trying to introduce a feudal system back into the society. We all know that doesn't go well. And then the third perspective is this man named Hrathen. Is that his name? Hrathen? I know it's something strange, something weird. Yeah, Hrathen. Hrathen is a high priest of this religion that is kind of trying to take over the world, okay? So, I don't know if you guys remember, but in one of my previous videos, I was talking about how I loved religious corruption, and I hadn't read a ton of books with religious corruption. Religious corruption, baby. It's literally like the Crusades, okay? He thinks that he is pretty much God's gift. He thinks that he's God's gift. He thinks that it is his holy duty to come in and convert the people of Erelon to his specific religion. And in order to do that, he is going to give them a common enemy, the Elantrians. Religious corruption, religious hypocrisy. It's just everywhere within this book. This book is a lot more political and a lot more religious than I was expecting it to be, and I'm really, really liking it. It's like if the Lost City of Atlantis met the Crusades. That is what Elantris is, but it's really good so far, and I wasn't expecting to be enjoying it as much as I am right now, but I'm excited about it. I am doing an immersion read with this one. I've really been enjoying doing that lately, so we're just gonna keep on keeping on with whatever's available on Hoopla. So throughout this next week, I will definitely be working on Elantris. I'll hopefully be finishing that up. This one's not super duper long. It's actually it's like 550 pages, so it's a little bit of a beefy boy. The Bible pages are deceptive, but that's okay. So I'll definitely be working on that. And normally I think about what I'm gonna read like for the month in the last week of the previous month, right? But the last week of December was just a hodgepodge. It was just a mess, okay? It was just a mess. I had no brain left, okay? So I have no idea what I'm gonna be reading in January, but I do have a book haul coming up, and those are like the top books that are in my head right now because I just got them. It's like I just got them. I gotta read them. They're bright, they're shiny, they're new, right, Mr. Bernard? I still need to put out my 2024 reading goals because I have a TBR jar now. I've already filmed that video, but I went and changed it because I had a couple more things to add, one of them being the TBR jar. So, surprise, we're gonna be probably doing TBR jars at some point in the near future. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please make sure to join the NotSoAverageJo army. We are currently taming our beasts and teaching them how to not step on people who are trying to film videos. It's a struggle. We're making some progress, I think. But I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day. Let me know down below what you guys are currently reading. Are you starting the new year off strong? Are we focusing on goals right now? Or are we just winging it? I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. Tell me what you're doing. But I hope you guys have a fantastic rest of your day and a fantastic week, and I will see you again on Wednesday with my December wrap up and reorganizing my bookshelves at the same time.